in a mind, a collection of thoughts, a thought process. Thank you very much.
Yes, to all of it, if you wish to look at it that way, and if those definitions help bring you clarity. The vibration and the different states of being in the brain are the result not just of the idea of thoughts, but of the idea of belief systems, because it is belief systems that actually generates the physical personality, which then has the thoughts that go with those particular frequencies. But I know that sometimes on your planet, people interchangeably use the idea of thoughts and beliefs. But it is really fundamentally what you really believe to be true that generates the frequency state that you're in. And sometimes what you know to be true, which is beyond belief, which generates those frequencies, which then generates the thoughts that are germane and relevant for those particular frequency states.
Hello, Bashar. How are you today?
Perfect. And you?
Thank you. It's an honor to talk to you.
It is an honor to talk with you as well. What would you like to discuss?
There's a few things I would like to discuss, but I guess the main thing would be to ask you about something that happened when I was a child. Almost
Yes.
this stems from when I was a child. I grew up in Los Angeles, and sometimes on the weekends we would go to Mexico, a place called Tecate. We would go there for the weekend, and one night, Sunday night, when we were gonna come back, I my parents would have basically us pack the stuff up and take it to the car. I looked that night at the sky, and basically I saw a UFO there. Um, to me as a kid, when I looked at the sky, it looked almost, my imagination was like almost like if somebody put a sticker on the sky, which was a wall, but it was slanted and it had colored lights around it, different color lights. Then I guess society took over in my mind, and a thought was like, what if I get abducted? What if I never see my parents again? And I ran into the house. Being a child, I wasn't sure what to do. Now, with the perspective time gives me, I'm wondering, was that an alien reproduction vehicle, human, or was that ET extra dimensional?
ET extra dimensional.
It was.
Absolutely. You are part of the hybridization agenda.
Thank you. Is there a connection between, well, there must be, but just want to see, between ancient Mexico, ETs, and contemporary current Mexico, since there seems to be a
Well,
lot of activity?
absolutely. There is a lot of activity in that area on your planet. There are strong connections in the past and the present between humans and extraterrestrials and extra dimensionals in that area. Absolutely. Ongoing, has been going on for quite some time.
Okay. And this has something to do with me being a kid and witnessing that then?
Well, you're part of it as well. You agreed to be part of it. You agreed to be immersed in that energy. You agreed to participate in the idea of contact and hybridization and so on and so forth. All the things that are part of the evolution of humanity on the earth.
And that's why since a kid, I've been very strongly basically attracted to that. Basically, that seeing the UFO, and another thing would be ancient Mexico. You spoke about, or you mentioned Gukumat, Quetzalcoatl in some of your transmissions,
Yes.
tied to the crystal skulls.
Yes.
Um, but there's so much information out there that sometimes I don't know. I mean, what is what?
The
For
information you require will come to you automatically and synchronistically that's relevant for you. Whatever is not relevant doesn't need to come. You will receive the information that's relevant for you to help you move forward. It just happens automatically when you follow the formula. That's why we share it with all of you. It makes it easy.
yes, definitely. And well, I first want to throw in there to thank you so much for the information you put out, the vibration you give out, just for being yourself and giving that example, being that reflection.
We can be nothing else, but we thank you.
Thank you. I had a question about basically a couple of scholars that I've read about. They both are tied into work in Mexico. Very controversial, both of them. but the stuff that they talk about has a lot of parallels to pretty much things that you do. Um, so one of them is Carlos Castaneda. I was wondering if you could give me your perspective on that whole part of basically ancient sorcerers, seers, the whole thing about the tonal
Yes,
and the nahual.
it is a
Like,
journey of shamanism, an experience of the idea of your connection not only to nature, but as nature, an expression of nature, and a connection to the earth and the earth consciousness. So it's a journey of shamanism that functions as a representation, as a symbol, as a sample of the journeys that many of you can take if you are willing to connect to nature spirits.
we're going to connect to nature spirits. Would water, bodies of water, rivers, lakes, oceans, is that a strong connection with with nature that
I think
that
you
I
know
can
the answer to
follow?
that. I think you know the answer to that.
Thank you. Lastly, um, well, the going back to the Carlos Castaneda thing, he was a scholar that studied in Mexico. He referenced somebody else who was also a scholar who also studied in Mexico. Somebody who, like him, is no longer here. We don't know don't really know what happened according to different stories. But this person, his name is Jacobo Greenberg Seilerbaum, and he ended up working with a medium, an open channel, who would channel in the spirit of Cuauhtemoc, the last Aztec emperor. He would do psychic surgeries through the body of Pachita, which was a famous shaman back in the 60s, 70s, around that time. In um, one of the paragraphs in the book that Jacobo wrote, it was Cuauhtemoc's birthday, and they made pretty much like a festival for him in the place where he would do psychic surgeries on people. I guess the procedure was kind of opening up to questions to the people who were there, and then they would proceed to operate using a blunt knife, and they would take out hearts or take out organs and put them
Is
back
there a
in.
question here?
Yes, there is. Basically, he would ask them, the person that was right there working with him, he would ask Pachita in the presence of El Hermanito, which was Cuauhtemoc, the last Aztec emperor. And he told him that he was reading about his life. And then he pretty much replied that he had told them that they wouldn't do human sacrifices, that he was witnessing what they would do, which would be psychic surgeries. I was wondering if you could give some feedback on that.
You must understand that it is important to know that all healing takes place in the belief system of the person requiring the healing. The idea is whatever makes sense culturally, symbolically, whatever is representative of connecting to your higher mind, whatever is understood in physical reality to be an illusion, can still have great power as a symbol to allow people to change their frequency and change the physicality of their bodies in ways that may seem miraculous, but really are just an indication that physical reality is just a projection of consciousness. So the techniques and the approach of those rituals that you're talking about were simply ways of hearkening back to certain kinds of ideas. We can't go into that story deeply, it would take too long. But the idea of doing the psychic surgery as a representation of the so-called past sacrifices that were done as a misunderstanding of a connection to extraterrestrial beings can be used as a symbol of the idea that physical reality is changeable, malleable, and it requires the belief system of the person to open themselves up, to allow themselves to change themselves with the permission that comes from relating to the cultural ritual that is undertaken by the shaman or the healer. Does that make sense? Do you understand what we have said?
To a certain point, but I was wondering if you could just clarify it a little bit more.
All healing is done by the person who requires the healing. The
Right.
shaman or the healer simply sets up the vibration, and in this case uses an ancient ritual, or represents or symbolizes an ancient ritual, to express the power that is innate in every individual to heal themselves. Does this make more sense?
Yes, it definitely does. So kind of like with a lot of places, they say the healer is just a reflection, basically a conduit that lets the spirit come through them, and basically the person who's receiving this will get whatever they need to get out of that. Correct?
Based on their belief system and willingness to match the frequency of the vibration of the healer or the shaman, yes.
Hmm. In that particular case as well, this other, I guess he was a seer, Don Juan Matus, he explained that the person's technique as well was to remove doubt from the minds of everybody who was present there, because there was quite a bit of people witnessing these operations. And he described it as basically the spirit taking over and moving people's assemblage point. It was some kind of energetic configuration that they would see.
Yes, we understand. Again, people attracted to that idea are willing to let go of certain limiting belief systems, moving their so-called connection or assemblage or agreement point to the point where they understand that more is possible in physical reality, because physical reality is nothing more than a projection of their consciousness. So it's a ritual that allowed for a collective agreement to shift to a new understanding, making other things possible in their physical experience.
So is this what happened when they say that under the guidance of some ancient seers, entire cities in what today is Mexico and Central America pretty much moved their consciousness over to a different world?
Yes, shifting to another reality en masse. You're shifting all the time. You're shifting billions of times a second. But when a collective agreement goes along and harmonizes in their frequency to shift together as one culture, as one collective, then yes, they can shift themselves strongly to another reality where they may seem to completely, utterly disappear from the reality they used to be in.
And they enter into a separate, totally separate reality, another realm.
Another time stream, yes.
And is that what we're doing right now with this time of change?
To some degree, yes, you are.
Lydian prism that you were mentioning?
Yes, yes, it's all connected.
It seems like that.
You will wind up on a different Earth and eventually no longer experience those that are not of the compatible vibration of the reality that you have shifted to.
And like you mentioned, we do this billions of times already, but it looks like the collective guides us to a certain place.
Your choices guide you to a certain place based on the frequency that your choice results in. There will be those that will join you in a similar kind of reality, but there will be those that won't.
Also think of that possibility. Why law of attraction works.
Yes, we can explain it mechanically, but on the other hand, you will have to investigate the specific reasons why something may appear to work or not work, because it may have to do with the belief systems of those individuals having the experience. But mechanically speaking, first and foremost, while it is generally correct that you need to be the frequency of the thing you wish to attract in order to attract it, because you have to be on the same wavelength of something to experience it, the difference in what most people understand about the law of attraction is they think they have to learn to generate that frequency to attract what they truly need in life. You don't have to learn it. It's automatic. It's your core frequency, and it's always being given off, and it's always attracting what you need. It may not attract what you want, because what you want may be the product of a negative ego, or just an assumption that certain things are what you need when they're not. But the idea is, it's not about learning to give off that frequency to attract what you need. It's about not getting in your way. It's about letting go of negative beliefs and fear-based beliefs that might be preventing what your core vibration is attempting to attract from getting to you. So the real secret of the law of attraction is you just have to get the negative vibrations, the negative beliefs out of the way and clear up those ideas that may be impeding the attraction that is automatically being sent out from your core frequency to the things you need in life and understanding the difference between what you want and what you need, because there can be a very big difference.
Hello, Bashar.
Good day, good day.
Good to see you. So I have some questions for today.
Yes.
You say that when we sufficiently change ourselves from within, the outside will also change.
Well, not necessarily right away,
Okay.
because you have time and time lag, and sometimes you may test yourself to demonstrate whether or not you have actually truly changed. Because again, the true measure of change is not whether the outside changes, it's whether you respond differently to it, even if it still looks the same. Then you will have proven you've changed, and then the outside has more of an opportunity to shift, to reflect the change within you. That's what we're actually saying.
Okay. I was thinking in a side way. I saw potential in maybe also bringing a change in different spheres of our minds. And yes. I had this thought of, like, you told us lately that there are 9 different levels of the mind.
There are 9 levels of consciousness that are relevant and relative to the experience you're having of physical reality. That doesn't mean there aren't other levels. It's just that those 9 are more relevant for your physical experience.
Okay. And so I was wondering if, like, for example, I want to abolish war, if I need to make a change in all those levels in order to make it happen.
That happens automatically when you change anything about yourself.
Okay. I'm aware of permission slips to connect with my higher mind.
Yes.
Like following my passion.
Yes.
But I'm curious if you could give us clues or permission slips as to connect with the above minds.
With the what?
With the above minds.
Well, again, that happens automatically. We give you the formula because it leaves nothing out. Anything that is important or relevant for your experience in physical reality is included in simply following the formula. So any change you make on the physical level, when you shift to a different reality, will automatically contain new relationships and new versions of all the different levels. Automatically. That's what being on another level in a new reality actually means. Everything goes with it.
So then I was thinking, if the higher mind is guiding all this process,
yes,
is it then all-knowing?
No. It only knows what it needs to know for your experience as a physical person. It knows more than you do. It can connect to more, but only those things, again, that are relevant for your journey in physical reality experience. It doesn't need to know everything.
But it knows everything for my physical experience.
Yes. That's why it sends you energy messages that your body translates into the sensation you call passion. That's its message saying, this is the next step. This is you. This is your vibration. Follow it. Act on it. That's all it needs to do. But you have to pay attention.
So, but it is all-knowing on following the excitement? Is that like the all-knowing circle of the higher mind?
It knows what you need. And therefore it will send you the energy vibration that will translate into the sensation of passion to let you know what you need to act on next.
Okay. So in the different spheres of the minds, you talked about the collective minds and the...
All right, you keep using the word mind. Consciousness would be a better choice.
Okay.
Because the higher levels of consciousness are not specifically what you refer to as mind, because mind is a product of the physical reality perspective.
Okay. So the collective conscious and the collective unconscious,
yes,
you separate them from the oversoul domain. But as I understand the oversoul being a group of souls working together, I was wondering what was the difference?
Well, the idea, again, is that there is a collective conscious and unconsciousness for the specific experience you're having on Earth. Oversouls can connect in a variety of ways and be specific to the Earth experience, but they can also connect to other civilizations. So for every civilization they choose to connect to or experience a version of themselves in, they will create a whole new projection that functions as a collective consciousness and an unconscious, and so on down the line, for every single new experience that is a different civilization playing a game with different rules.
Okay. You talked about the idea that the Greys fusion their minds like a hive mind.
Yes.
Isn't that also the same as operating from the collective consciousness?
No, it's a different kind of collective. The idea has some similarities and some connections to it, but it has removed other elements from it so they can function more efficiently in the physical realm. It's really more like a natural way of forming communication links between all of their minds. It's more, in a sense, akin to a technological feature than it is to the idea of a larger spiritual one.
Thank you very much, Bashar,
You
for
are
this
welcome.
opportunity.
Good day.